Hello and welcome back to Solid. My name is Jake. Thank you guys very much for joining me on today, Thursday, June 6th, just about 4:45 p.m. Got a few things to cover today. Number one, obviously the biggest news. We got a press release from the UFL that, of course, Kratom is the official partner of the UFL. That's not important. That's just weird that they did that. The big news is Chris Garrett being named the special teams player of the year for the UFL. I think just yesterday or whatever day that was it was yesterday. I said that I thought it was going to be Jake Bates. No, Chris Garrett. Just as much as Chris Garrett hates punts, and that sumbitch hates punts. The UFL doesn't like field goals apparently. Maybe the idea of them eliminating a single point after try, kicking a point after field goals or after touchdowns. That was not them trying to make it be a higher scoring game. They just hate kickers. And somebody in the UFL office is absolutely punching air when Jake Bates made a 64-yard field goal, because I thought that Jake Bates was going to be UFL Player of the Year, but this is back-to-back years with two Battlehawks being the Special Teams Player of the Year. I tell you, man, that it's a good thing to be good. That Kyle Caskey, the running backs coach and special teams coordinator for the Battlehawks. That guy knows what he's doing. This press release says the United Football League today announced its Special Teams Player of the Year award. This award honors the unsung heroes on special teams, the player who makes plays such as key blocks to spring a kick returner, big tackles and kick coverage, or momentum-shifting blocked kicks, which is where we're coming into play here with Chris Garrett. The 2024 UFL Special Teams Player of the Year is Chris Garrett of the St. Louis Battlehawks. Garrett blocked 2 punts during the 2024 UFL season. His first came in St. Louis's 45-12 win over the DC Defenders in Week 5, helping the Battlehawks to their largest margin of victory this season, and I believe the largest margin of victory of any team. It doesn't say that. That's me. The second of Garrett's blocks came with under a minute remaining in the Battlehawks game versus the Birmingham. In a game they trailed by 4 points at the time of his block, giving his offense one last chance to mount a comeback. Garrett's 2 blocked kicks matched or best the totals for the other 7 UFL teams. Only DC had more than 1 blocked kick. The Battlehawks blocked 4 kicks during the 2024 regular season, with half coming from Garrett. In addition to his punt, because that is huge. Obviously, you should just win it from if they're going to grade blocked kicks with this level of importance. Yeah, that's killer. That's great. The guy's maniac. The guy's a maniac, and he hates it. He hates somebody kicking a ball. But it goes on. It says, in addition to his punt blocking prowess, Garrett recorded 14 of his 16 total tackles on special teams. At one point during the Battlehawks Week 5 game with DC, Garrett recorded tackles on 4 straight St. Louis kickoffs, which is huge. I didn't even realize that. I feel like somebody in the broadcast probably should have realized that, because they're smarter than me and smarter than you and smarter than everybody. But they didn't bring that up. That's incredible. Whoever caught that, hats off to you. Hats off to Chris Garrett being Special Teams Player of the Year. I know I say this a lot, but I think I gave him Cacaw of the Week for that game, didn't I? I feel like I did. I'm pretty sure I did. Maybe I gave it to the entirety of the special teams, or maybe I gave it to Kyle Caskey. Anyway, it's amazing. Good for Chris Garrett. Completely opposite way that it went last year with Darius Shepard being the Special Teams Player of the Year because of him just absolutely running the ball down people's dicks just constantly. They're giving it to a guy who stops plays from happening. Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. UFL, the handshake meme with me, and defense rocks. That's what we got going on there. That's awesome. That's just a good thing to hear. And then also another thing that they announced earlier today was that the Michigan Panthers head coach Mike Nolan was the UFL Coach of the Year. If there was even a chance in your mind that you were like, man, Anthony Beck should have won that, I want you to do me a favor right now. Go into your bathroom, look down at your toilet, and swirly yourself. And then maybe when you get down from that, kick yourself in the dick or something, because that's dumb, and Beck never would have been able to win it. So that's where we're at right there with the three things, because the cannabis industry leader, CBD Kratom, has become the first official CBD and Kratom partner of the UFL. we were all asking for it. We were like, man, if I want to do CBD and kratom, I need to know who the UFL has as their main corporate sponsor for that. Like, where am I supposed to know where to get my CBD and kratom? Okay, weird thing to do after the season ends, but get that money, UFL. I guess I don't know. Very dumb. The other thing that I wanted to do today, and you probably won't like it, maybe you will. I think it'll be interesting. Is talk about how the Brahmas can beat the Battlehawks. Try to look at it, flip the camera around, and look at it from a different point of view. We've all seen that video of Will Smith with the gun where the camera's flipping a whole bunch. We're gonna do that. We're gonna flip the camera around, and we're gonna look at ways that the Brahmas can beat the Battlehawks. And when I started thinking about this, the first thing that I thought of is the preparation. The Brahmas, they can't go in with the same amount of preparedness for the crowd noise as they did last week. And to be fair, it's literally impossible for them to come in any less prepared because they were at rock bottom. That was rock bottom level of preparedness. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. Everybody's always like, oh, these players, they've played in front of loud crowds before. The St. Louis one's not going to mess them up too much. It's like, well, except maybe the head coach is a dipshit and didn't prepare him at all. That is what Wade Phillips has said, is that he's having his I couldn't tell if it was a joke or not because he does try to make jokes, but he's like, he sucks. And when he does make jokes, he like laughs at himself like a loser. But he said that he was having his offense practice with earplugs in to like what's that called? Simulate the crowd noise or make them deal with. And that's the problem with that for them, is that's literally the exact opposite of what's going to happen. Like there's the difference between being alone with your thoughts with it being so quiet and then having it be too loud for you to literally think, and then you're overwhelmed with a situation. So you hear stories about teams like in college, like if it's going to be rainy, they'll be spraying the ball down. If there's a crowd noise, they put speakers directly behind the offense when they're practicing. Wade Phillips, he sees things other people don't see. He's playing 40 chess. He says, you know what? What if we just did no noise? And what if we did no noise to a level where there's no noise entering their ears? Curious to see if that works. I think that's probably the wrong way to do it, but he's also been a head coach forever. So I don't know. Or not a head coach. He's just been a coach forever. So I don't know. I think he's dumb. I've thought he's dumb. He's blocked me on Twitter because I called him dumb and told him that I hated him. But the number one thing is that their level of preparedness. And that's just going to go into a lot of things that I'm going to talk about. And I guess I'll tackle it like this. What they ended up doing was that they were running, we all saw it, they were running Quentin Dormandy out onto the field and like over to the sideline to get the play calls. And then he was getting back to the huddle, and there was only like 15 seconds. And they weren't able to do any kind of motion or anything creative with their offense pre-snap. And we saw at the beginning of the game when they were doing things where they were being able to be creative on offense with their pre-snap motions and stuff like that, they were able to get leverage and isolate players and throw the ball. Again, I made the very vivid memory is when number 84, who did I say number 84 was? That's the wrong roster. Number 84, that Calvin Turner, just was running away from Mike Rose. And they were able to do that because of motion. They found out that it was man, and they were able to scheme him open with the pre-snap motions and things that they were doing pre-snap and with the reads and everything that they were able to make. Also, it helps that they had their starting quarterback in then. But that's just one aspect of that. And then when they, in the second half, yes, they were a little bit more successful on offense, but they could have been more successful on offense had they been able to use their entire arsenal of plays and play designs and play schemes and everything like that. I feel like that kind of makes sense. And the reason that is something that's important. The way that we've seen Battlehawks get beat in the past, specifically against Birmingham, is they got slanted to death. They got slanted to death, and you're able to do that when you're able to isolate people, again, a guy running across the field with Mike Rose running behind him. You're able to get leverage on corners and stuff like that. They have a running back who was not in last game. That is it, Anthony McFarland. Anthony McFarland, their running back, is a good receiver. He's good at catching the ball. Anthony McFarland is number 41 on their team. This season, receiving, he averages 41.2 yards per game, which is pretty. That's hefty. That is hefty. That is a very hefty amount of yards to get per game as a running back out of the passing, just purely passing. They're going to get him back this week, and if they're able to be prepared and come in with a game plan where they're able to scheme Anthony McFarland open, that is one way that this team is going to be able to win. Because that's not depending on just your wide receivers to win, which we know that Javontre Kirkland can win against Tim Harris. He did it very, very consistently. And not taking these deep shots like Quentin Dormandy is better at throwing. But in week 3, when the Battlehawks played the Brahmas, they had the Brahmas had a drive that was 8 minutes and 59 seconds, a 9-minute touchdown drive, and they had a 6-minute touchdown drive. That was a 12-play drive. That first one was a 17-play drive. They were able to get these very long, drawn-out drives, and they were able to convert those into points. Last week, their longest drive was an 8-play drive that lasted 4 minutes and 21 seconds. Their second longest one was their first drive, which was 6 plays in 4 minutes. So if they're able to get these guys, scheme them open, nothing that's actually going to be like a huge like downfield pass, which I'm sure would end up actually being there for them. But they'll be able to scheme guys open and then just kind of chew up the short yardage. I mean, that's the way that we've seen this Battlehawks team get beat, because those short yardage plays, they end up breaking them open or breaking them off. They end up getting big. It's big. They end up getting big plays out of those if they try them enough. This defense is good to be able to make teams make mistakes. And I mean, I guess counterpoint to that, if a team is doing a really trying to have a drive where they trudge down the field, you do have to deal with more crowd noise, which opens up more mistakes that you can make. But I don't know. So that's just one way, is with the preparedness to be able to open up their entire playbook. Them getting healthy at running back is another thing. Like I said, Anthony McFarland will be back. They are still going to have I think Anthony McFarland is going to be back. Wade Phillips mentioned that he was getting both of his running backs back, being Anthony McFarland and what's his name, John Lovett. But looking at the injury report, and it's only been one day. They haven't come out with their injury report yet for today. But the Wednesday injury report had Anthony McFarland not practicing. He was a DNP. It wasn't even limited or anything like that. So I based on what Wade says, he'll be back. But from what I've seen on the injury or the practice reports and stuff like that, he's not on the field yet. So who knows? Hopefully not for us, but we're talking about for them. They're going to need him to be able to get some yards in the air. Like I also said, John Lovett is another guy that they're getting back. He's been their leading rusher all year. He's averaging 52.8 yards per game, which is tied for first for leading rushers in the UFL. I think 52.8 yards per game is the same number of average yards per game as what's his name, the quarterback for Brahmas, Adrian Martinez. So he is a good running back. He's a good running back. He has 422 yards on the season. He averages 4.1 yards per carry, 5 touchdowns. So they're getting pieces back that are really going to help them on offense, where they were just ruthlessly stale last week. So that's what they got there. As far as their wide receivers go, in this again, referencing back to Week 10. John Trey Kirkland had 4 targets in the first half, and then he had 6 targets in the second half. I would expect that them knowing how they ended that game, kind of with the upper hand, they would probably go right back to that. Would probably be a good idea. I would imagine the first play of the game is either going to be a pass to John Trey Kirkland on Tim Harris, or it would be a John Lovett a run just to kind of like set a tone. Both of those things are scary to me. Both of those things are very scary to me. Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at with that. I think it's just really kind of I mean, they didn't have any of their star players. Hell, they lost their quarterback halfway through the game. So they were well without offensive talent, except for their wide receiver. Last week, they're going to be restocked and be able to do that. And then also, last week, they have a wide receiver, Marquez Stevenson. He's just a fast guy. He only got 4 targets. He caught 3 of them, and it was only for 8 yards. That's another guy that they'd be able to scheme open with motion. So he is another guy that they would have to probably get into this game more so than their Calvin Turner. I believe that guy's just like a bigger wide receiver, maybe even a tight end. So if there's a winning offensive game plan for San Antonio, it would be practice smart, come in with a good game plan, and understand that it's going to be loud, which it almost seems like they might be in denial about. And then also use your starting running backs, which is not like a change that they're going to make. It's just something that they were without last week. And then make sure that you're very heavily putting the ball on your wide receivers that can win. And if it's not a guy that can win, make sure that you can put him in a place where he can win pre-snap. That's kind of where I'm at with that. Other than that, I would say that this team that the Brahmas kind of are set up to win. Defensively, the changes that they would make, I'm not entirely sure there are many. Because they only allowed the Battlehawks to score 13 points. What did they have? What did I say that they had? It was they forced 6 3-and-outs, and they got an interception. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much what you want to do. When it comes, and to be fair, on the other side of this, when it comes to running a defensive scheme, I'm not as well versed in that kind of knowledge, and I'd be speaking out of my ass. It'd be disingenuous if I knew exactly what kinds of things they would need to change. But baseline, what they did was a winning effort on defense. Their offense just couldn't get it done. So the changes that they would need to make are offensively, and Wade Phillips is a defensive coach. I think that he kind of knows what he's talking about there. There's probably other stuff that I'm missing with this, but I want to keep this one kind of short, and I'm aiming to keep it underneath 20 minutes, and I'm crushing that right now. 17:53, baby. Look at me go. That is it for today's solid. I will be back with you tomorrow with a bird's eye preview for the XFL Conference Championship game. So yeah, go out, and if you haven't bought tickets yet, if you're listening to this, it seems like you probably have. You probably have. But if you haven't, go do it. They're like cheap as shit. Like, it'd be a fun Sunday night, and who cares? It's a Sunday night, and people don't want you to actually do anything on Monday at work anyway. So yeah, that's coming from a guy who doesn't have a job. So take that for what it is. Thank you guys very much for listening. This has been solid. Go Birds. Go Ironbirds. Cause the law, whatever you say, it can be translated to something about Go Battlehawks. Like I was on the phone with my dad just a couple minutes ago talking about what wood I need to buy for a shelf that I'm making, just normal, conversations. And then he said you should, since you're not really going to see this table, it's like a shelf that's kind of going behind a sofa so we can set drinks on it and stuff. He said since it's not really noticeable, he said you're gonna probably want to get like a white pine just because you can do a lot of stuff with it and it's cheap. But obviously I translated that. He was like, go Battlehawks. So that's kind of how that conversation went, and I didn't take anything away from it. Thank you guys very much. I will talk to you tomorrow.